Welcome everyone. I am actually recording this today because I got a few emails from people saying that they would love to be here, but they're working or they can't be here for some reason. Here we are together, and I'm calling this new training series Soulful Sanctuary. And it's really my offering and my desire to bring back more grounding and more beauty into our lives and start to make new and better decisions about what we want to let in and what we want to keep a boundary from. I'm going to be talking today about the three keys to overcoming overwhelm, which really begins with stress. And it includes how we deal with stress and overwhelm, which is in that realm of anxiety. So listen, if you have high anxiety, then for good reason in these times when so much has been on our plates and we've been dealing with, a foreign war abroad, and we've been dealing with the long-term effects of COVID and how it's really changed our society, and not always for the better. I mean, we don't even see each other's faces so much unless we've taken off their masks. And then, that sets up a whole other can of worms and worries and concerns about, how we're going to be a society going forward, and whether this COVID is going to, trickle on for a really long time. But even thinking about those thoughts right now really starts to bring up the energy of anxiety and concern. I felt like this was very timely to talk about how we can manage stress and overwhelm. So I just want to let those of you who are new let find out a little bit about what I do and how I came to being a transformational wellness coach. My own story, and I'll be brief, is that I came with tremendous enthusiasm to New York City to be a dancer and choreographer. And very soon after I came, I started having symptoms of an autoimmune problem. I called it a problem then, but really it was an autoimmune disease. And I took, matter into my own hands and really started researching alternative healing practices that I could do that could get me back to doing what I really loved, which was dancing and being creative and choreographing. On my path, I actually found a beautiful educational model, method really for how to become more aware of our physical stress and the kind of pain and tension that we felt that we all experience in our own bodies. So Alexander technique was a 100-year-old technique that was developed by a pretty brilliant man, F.M. Alexander. And then he disseminated this work through very inclusive three-year long training programs. And I, just was passionate about this work and became an Alexander teacher and later a trainer of teachers on the faculty in New York City called ACAT. But because I also was suffering from this autoimmune problem, my travels, my journeys really took me to numerous healing modalities, including cranial sacral therapy and Reiki and energy healing and spiritual practices, spiritual healing as well, which I'm still doing. So many of those are on hands-on practices, and I'm here to just share some of what I've been able to put in my tool bag over lots of years. So what we're going to do today is, first of all, really ground ourselves with this unshakable belief in you, in yourself, in what you can manage, in what you can uncover for yourself, and really grow to the next level of your own experience, your own, let's call it life purpose, through really grounding yourself and making that whole experience physically, psychologically, and spiritually part of your experience. So I would say, to begin, these three keys that we're going to work with are very practical. The first one is about how to manage stress. And the second key is starting to be able to recognize physically in your body when you're getting stressed out, and when overlying that is a level of anxiety that we can systematically research and work through. But we also have a wonderful tool, which is a tool for healing the vagus nerve, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. And then the third practical tool that we'll work with today, I actually want you to get a piece of paper out and a pen, or have a way to jot some notes down, because we're going to work with more of an organizational tool for how to release overwhelm. And it's worked for me over these many years, and I want to share that with you too. So what I'm going to do next is actually share my screen, and I'm going to just take you through a little slideshow, um, take maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll spend the rest of our time together really digging into these tools. Okay, so today we're going to talk about simple solutions to the problem of stress and overwhelm. And I know that's a big ask because stress and overwhelm can take over our lives. I have many, many stories about my own experiences of how I just start spinning my wheels and really not knowing which direction to turn in. And at the end of the day, nothing has changed, nothing is manifested. I haven't been able to, to really get done what I'm wanting to get done in my business and in my creative life. So for me, creativity is a really, really high value. And what we're wanting to do is really be guided by our vision and our values, and not be taken into, whatever rabbit hole we go into in a day, or in a year. So that you end up being pretty much in the same place a year from now as you were a year ago. And this is going to make your heart just sink, and not really get your dreams grounded and manifested in the world. So, saying that, I want you to truly, truly hear these words. Your inner knowing already has the answers. And the secret is listening to your body and then taking action on the wisdom that you find there. The body leads the way into our future, not the mind. It's the body. We can get all of our clues from the body itself. So one of my quotes, one of the things that I love to say, is that we're hardwired for safety and soft wired for change. So what does that mean exactly? Well, hardwired is like that part of us which wants safety. We're hardwired for safety because we needed to survive as a species. I mean, it's really that simple. Our survival instincts are always going to be the first to react. And what we're able to do as evolving humans is to actually move into the neuroplasticity of the brain. That is really the science term for our ability to actually shift and change. And this is connected also scientifically to our brain stems. So we have something called the reticular activating system. And it's a system that regulates, it's a regulating system. It regulates our awakeness and it regulates our sleep and it regulates our dream state. But did you know that it also regulates our fight and flight tendencies? And again, this is what we're talking about, the hardwired aspect of ourselves. Just like all other animals, we have the ability to either see a dangerous moment and seize that moment and, claw our way and fight our way through it, or we have an ability to get out of the way. And the ability to get out of the way is also something that animals will choose when they know they've been outsmarted or outbigged by a creature that is causing them, the distress, the danger. And it really is that deep and that remedial, which is that we have a fear of not surviving. So the soft wiring is really how we as humans and evolving humans can work with our our brains to and our bodies to have new ways, new fluid ways of managing this kinds of stress. Okay, so we're talking about the reactivity that comes to us. That let me say it a little bit differently. When we are forced to deal with something, we have the ability to work a little bit more in a more nuanced way. And what I call that is that we have an ability to respond instead of react. Now, this is something that I talk a lot about in the Alexander technique, because when I put hands on a student, or when we're talking about how we can change our thinking to change our tension patterns in our body and our anxiety level that we're holding physically in the body, we have an ability to just take a moment and not react to the stimulus. And what happens in that stopping place? It's really more like a pause to not react the way that we would have otherwise reacted. Then you have possibility. Then you have a way of managing. Now, this comes into the way that we hold ourselves physically, but it's also very much in other realms of our experience, like our relationships and our ability to calm ourselves and to really bring our vibration up to a higher state. In other words, instead of being in fear or in that reactive, responsive place, we have an opportunity in that one little moment to make a slight shift. So maybe instead of being in a fear response, we move more into a aggravation, say, or a frustration. And on the vibratory scale, that's actually a higher vibration. It's holding energy in a higher and more in command way. And what we want to get to is that sense of freedom and ease and flow and sweetness and love. So that, I mean, can you imagine if you were able to take the stimulus that's coming towards you? Maybe it's an anger, or it's, a held in negative criticism. And you could take that moment to pause and really reassess what's going on and then respond differently. So we have that. That's our soft wiring, and that's what's going to create change. So it's really what I'm so much about in my work, both in the Alexander work, but also in the healing work. I have an example of a client who came to me about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I found out that she had been in a car accident about 4 months ago, and she really wasn't getting better. She had a concussion, which was causing a lot of anxiety and a lot of confusion in her life, literally not knowing how to get through the day, not even being able to make like notes for it or a list of how to respond to something, just absolutely chaotic mind. And what we did is I just put her on the table, energetically worked a lot through the chakras, and especially her grounding chakra, because basically her whole energetic body had flown out the top of her head. And that's very common too with performance anxiety. So it's actually like a continuum. Um, what another example I have is for about 10 years, I was working in the music department at Stony Brook University. And I worked with a lot of very high level performers. The program itself was the Doctor of Music, so they were performers. They were working with their instruments as professional performers. And every time I worked with someone on the day of a performance, I noticed that, again, same thing. The energy was just kind of flying out the body, and we had to ground it back in to the body. You can do that also with crystal healing. You can do it with mantra and Reiki. Reiki works a lot with symbols and mantra. And what we're doing is we're connecting to a higher aspect of being, God, if you will, or spirit, or the universe, to become, then we become like conduits for that energy and really bring that powerful, resilient, beautiful energy straight from the cosmos into the client directly. And again, I'm just sharing a few stories about how much we're soft wired for change. We actually are changing all the time, and that is such a beautiful thing. You can definitively change from one state, say a state of anxiety, to a state of calm in the blink of an eye. It's because the mind is so powerful that we can activate through the body itself the ability to ground ourselves, to come home to ourselves. And that, in fact, here's a quote actually: everything you have ever wanted is sitting on the other side of fear. So, what I'm fleshing out with you today in this way is that stress is a form of fear. Anxiety, for sure, is an emotional response. It's a fear response, and we don't know how to handle it. Then overwhelm, which I'm going to say actually is probably of those three, maybe the easiest and most accessible to start getting a handle on, because overwhelm is when, let me just change this slide. Overwhelm is when we have too much information swarming around us and we cannot make clear decisions about what to do. So overwhelm is just when you just want to like get off the planet, like get me off of this Ferris wheel, get me off of this little, round and round and round this hamster wheel. So what I'm going to share with you today is actually a way that you can clear your plate, if you will, by finding out what is the most important thing for you to do and put everything else on a wish list. But let's go back to stress for a moment. And stress is interesting because there's good stress. There is good stress. It's like the excitement that you feel when you're about ready to share your wisdom, to perform, to do something like me here. I'm so excited to share this with you. But that can be a stress response too. So we need a way that we can really come back home to ourselves and clear that or organize that stress in a way that it works for us instead of against us. A bad stress is when it really just stops you in your tracks and you can't function properly and it doesn't feel good and it feels painful, or you've blocked and held and armored yourself so much that you really can't connect with another person that easily. The most dramatic aspect of that, I would say, would be like somebody that becomes agoraphobic, and they can't, like they're so filled with anxiety that they can't really leave their house because they're afraid something really bad is going to happen to them. Okay, so we're almost at the end of this little slideshow, and here are your keys. So we've been talking about stress, and the first key, very, very practical tool that I'm going to give you today is to slow down and breathe. And I'm going to give you a body practice. That's the first thing that we're going to do. The second key is to simplify and to decide on what it is that is most valuable, most important for you. Okay? And in order to do that, what we need to do is clear our stress response, our anxiety response. So that'll be the second key. And then the third one is more fun. And it's really how to deal with overwhelm. It's moving your vision into reality. Okay, so just take those three in. First, calm down and breathe. Second, simplify and decide. And third, moving your vision into reality. Okay, so I'm going to just ask you now to make yourself really comfortable. And you can even close your eyes for this because we're going to really take some time now to move into the body and really listen to your own inner being, your own inner wisdom. So again, go ahead and find a comfortable place to sit. I'm sitting on the back. This is the Alexander teacher in me, but I'm sitting at the back of my chair with a cushion behind me. So my sitting bones are kind of snuggling downward, but they're pretty far back so that I can just use the back of the chair to give me a little bit more support. The sitting bones are dropping straight down. You're not rocking the pelvis back in space. You're really on your sitting bones. And to find out if that's the case, then just rock forward and back a few times, just a little bit, so you can feel the bottom of the sitting bones. That's the bottom of your pelvis. Okay, so go ahead, and we're going to start with the eyes open. I didn't mention that, but I want you to start with the eyes open and then just take a few deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So you can even relax your jaw a little bit. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose, calming the body and the mind. Breathe out through the mouth. And go ahead and close your eyes, relaxing your shoulders, feeling that breath filling into the belly, breathing into the belly. You're still feeling the weight of your body dropping down to your contact points where where you're meeting the chair. And then think all the way down through the legs into the feet, letting your feet soften and widen. And feel that contact, a really soft contact with the ground. And with each breath in and out, you're relaxing, you're letting yourself fall deeper into the body. You can even put one of your hands on the heart and one of your hands on your low belly, especially if you're having a hard time feeling the breath. And now, without changing anything, just begin to bring your focus onto the breath, where you feel the breath in your body. We'll take a few moments to do this, feeling the back of your neck softening. You might notice that your head is just nodding forward, just ever so slightly on the top of the spine. That's very good. And now begin to notice the sounds around you. We're going to bring that into our experience as well. So the sounds around you and the sense of your breathing in and your breathing out. And then noticing the thoughts that come and arise. Noticing the thoughts. Just let them be, not try to change them. Allow them to exist, allow them to come in. And as they come in, just allow them then to leave. Come back to your breathing. And now, just begin to notice your body. Where are you feeling some strain and stress in your body? So we're not focusing on the pain, but we're allowing our consciousness to just take that in, not to change it, not to do anything. Going back to the breath in and out. Still feeling your contact with the chair, your contact with the floor. Allowing your body to free up and expand a little bit. The body, the breath, and your ability to free your awareness more and more, calming the body, calming the mind. And I'll be quiet for the next few moments and just allow yourself to be present within, aligned, open, embodied, luminous, and present. And then gently opening your eyes, seeing the room. Notice what you're seeing in your own space. Decide if you like that space. It's yours. And now we'll move on to key number 2. And this is going to move it a little bit more into releasing emotional anxiety. Our first key was just physical, feeling that body, feeling the breath. And now, as I share and talk you through this, we're going to actually do a vagus nerve exercise that brings us back to restoring. Actually, now this is called the freeze component or of our hardwired system called fight, flight, and freeze. So fight and flight, in a sense, are easier for humans to manage because we can get out of the picture altogether or defend ourselves. But freeze is something that happens when your system has shut down over a period of time. So the first thing that I want to offer you, challenge you with, is what we were calling in key two to simplify and decide. So I want you to take something in your life right now, in your daily life right now, that causes you some stress, and give yourself a permission to not let it be so big. In other words, simplify what that anxiety has been doing. I'll give you an example. In being online for me, there are many, many technical details that I'm not that skilled at. And it's as if I know that I have something that I have to do, but I don't know what it is. And so there's a gap, like in understanding or in technical skill, that I feel like there's something I need to do that I'm not doing. And that's kind of this low level anxiety that shows up, that comes up. And when that comes up, I have to be able to simplify. I have to be able to, in my own mind, sort out what's really important, something that I really have to do, from something that just got mushed up there in the mind about what I should be doing, right? That I haven't done, or I have forgotten to do that I should have done. Let that go. That's what I mean by simplify. And we've already done that first process where we can come back home to ourselves, to really ground ourselves and to get comfortable. So that is a real key. It's a key that brings our first key of lessening our stress level into more of the emotional thing, to go, how do I sort this out? What can I let go of in the middle, in the moment? There's another thing that stresses us out, and that is a feeling that we have to perform, that there's something like a level of doing or a level of capacity that I have to be more than I am, or I have to be more perfect than I am. And that level of stress and anxiety is also activating the anxiety that we're holding. It could even be coming from observing other people. If you're in a corporation, you're actually trained by the corporation, unfortunately, to identify and compare yourself to others that are performing so-called better than you. And then the stress that we're feeling is that we can't really just do our own work. And that is what I call it, that becomes a boundary issue. It's a need. We have a need to simplify and decide for ourselves, what is mine? What do I want? How can I do the best that I can in this moment today? And not worry about what I have not accomplished yet, right? Or what I have not become yet. Because in doing so, we really presence ourselves. We come into a state of being and a lightness and a flow in which our creativity can come back. Okay? So the first thing I want you to visualize as you do this, I want you to just sense a beautiful beam of sunlight above your crown chakra, above your head. And that sunlight is just pouring down into every cell of your body. And it comes and it pours down and it starts filling your feet and your toes first. And then it starts filling a little bit higher into your legs and a little higher into your thighs and then the bowl of your pelvis. You can close your eyes for this one too. And into filling that whole torso with beautiful sunshine and light, and into the shoulders and arms and down into the fingers, down to the fingertips. And then let that sunshine come up into your neck, into your head, and really opening into your auric field. So it's filling into your whole body, bringing this beautiful, beautiful golden sunlight into every cell, and allow yourself to just drink it in, just take it in. And breathe with it. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and bring your hands, interlace your hands in the back of your head with the elbows pressing out just a little bit. I want you to press your head ever so slightly into your hands. This is the vagal nerve exercise, and it's really super simple. The whole exercise is only going to take about 2 minutes. So remember, we're reorganizing that old freeze tendency through the vagal nerve. It's one of your cranial nerves. It actually means the wanderer, because the vagus nerve starts up in the head centers, moving through the facial muscles and through the jaw, and it actually goes all the way down through the stomach and into the liver. So we're organizing and bringing it back on track, so that you don't go into that freeze modality. So here we are, bringing your hands to the back of your head. You can close your eyes for just a moment, just to bathe your eyes and relax. Then we're going to open the eyes, and we're all going to look to the left all the way, keeping your head very still. That's the reason why you're holding your head like this. And you're going to let your eyes look all the way to the left and keep looking and keep looking. We're going to look here in this direction. Might even hurt your eyeballs just a little bit. That's okay. We're going to keep looking until your body responds. And the way that the body's going to respond is either in a sigh or a yawn. And you feel it when it happens. Just happened for me. And after it happens, take all the time you need. Just soften your eyes, bring them back to center. Relax your eyes again, because it does put a little strain on the eyes. And then we'll go to the other side. So you're going to the right this time. Your head is still. Your eyes are looking all the way to the left. All the way to the right, sorry. Keeping the eyes open, looking, looking, looking. And there was my sigh. It might take you a little bit longer, even up to 1.5 minutes at first. But when it's done, you just bring your eyes back to the center, soften your eyes. You can bring your hands back down. This is a very, very powerful exercise. There are a number of ways to do the vagal nerve exercise. That was the first one that I learned from a book that I read a number of years ago. And it was very, very helpful, but there's a big science behind it. And if you think about the people that you know who hold high anxiety, in their lives, they're probably dealing with the freeze component of our stress response, which again is fight, flight, or freeze. So if we're in freeze, there's really not a lot that we can do. And it's like deer in the headlights. Literally, that's where that image came from. The deer in the headlights is that, this animal sees the headlights of a car coming in the dark, and they don't know what to do. They can't fight and they can't flee. So they just sit there. They often, because of the modern age, they will get hit by the car, unfortunately. Well, we don't want to do that. We want to have tools in our tool chest. And as I said, today is a really practical day to really bring you solutions to some of these problems. Okay, so now the last thing that we're going to talk about today, and then I will let you go because we've been here a while, and thank you if you're still here with me, is to, I'm going to just say, envision your perfect day. This is where I wanted you to have a piece of paper and a pen, because what I want you to do on this piece of paper is you're going to make, let's do it horizontally. You're going to make 2 lines in the paper. So I'll do that now. And then in the left column, you're going to write must do's. Must do's in the left column. And in the middle column, you're going to do wish list. And in the final column, you're going to say steps. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do, now go ahead and close your eyes again. Remember how much inner work there is. We're bringing our attention back to ourselves, to our preferences, to what it is that we want and love, and to really appreciate who we are and what we want. Those are the 2 things you ask yourself every day. Who am I and what do I most want? Okay, so from there, you can visualize your perfect day, closing your eyes. Take a few deep cleansing breaths again. Giving yourself time to visualize even what it feels like when I first wake up, when I go to the kitchen to make my tea or coffee, drink my green drink, whatever it is. And see yourself happy and smiling and very content. And then what is it that you want to do? And you can do this practice in 1 minute or 10 minutes in the morning, and really feel it as if it's already happening. This is a true law of attraction idea, that you don't wish for it, you don't want it and not have it. You see it happening. So you're visualizing that perfect day. Then when you finish that, and just for the sake of time, we'll go down to our paper now. And what you would write in the first column of must-dos is the 3 or 4 things that you must do today. Okay? And when you write your list the first time, make sure that the things that you don't have to do will go on another list, and that's your wish list. So your wish list is something that if you get to it, you'd really love to do. You wish to do it. Okay? And you'll finish that. If you can take some time right after our call today, please do this. It's a really powerful exercise. This is the exercise that's going to get you out of overwhelm. or it will at least make a big dent in that feeling of just not knowing how to manage or what to do next. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to circle the most important must do. And that's the one thing today that you must do. Okay, so do it. Get it done. Do it first thing in the morning. Have a power hour if you can, like where you just like charge in and get that first thing done. Before you do that first thing, at least know what it is. Then you go over to the steps and you say, okay, what is the first step? What is the second step? What is the third step of what I have to do for this must do? And there it is, all in front of you. If you get to all the must do's in one day, then you can start playing, because your wish list is mostly what you're playing with and what you love to do. I love to do yoga. I love to do piano. I love to play the piano. Do I always get to it? No, but it's almost always on my wish list. And then the steps that you need to do to take. You might need to take the first step is meditate, right? And ground yourself like we did before. The second step would be to get all your materials ready. The phone number of the person you have to call. If you're creating content for a business, then you get your laptop or your computer all set up and ready to go, and then you just do it. Okay? And sometimes I would even say, do the things that you've been putting off, that you've been procrastinating with. And that's like the subject of a whole nother training. So maybe I'll get into that next time, is why we procrastinate. But it does have a negative impact on your productivity and on your peace of mind as well. All right, everyone, we're almost at the top of the hour, and I do want to say, if this has been helpful for you, please incorporate any or all of the practical tools that we worked with today into your daily experience. If you would like my help and you think that it would be helpful to have a guide, excuse me, you can reach me at Diane@healingintoabundance.com. And if you know for sure that you would like to have a complimentary session with me in which we go through your next steps, talk about how you want to reduce your stress, your reactivity in your life, and really have a guide by your side for the next 3 months, please apply. So you can also email me, Diane@healingintoabundance.com, and then just in the subject line put connect, and I'll know that you want to connect with me. We can have a connect call on Zoom just like this and talk about your next steps for sure, and whether you would like a coach at your side. I have been doing this work for a very long time. I call myself a transformational wellness coach, and I bring all my modalities together, including Alexander Technique, which you could see today is really an embodiment practice, a presencing practice. It brings us into alignment, it brings us into our soul desires, and gives us a much more beautiful, connected sense of what it is that we want in our lives. And that's very personal to you. It has nothing to do with consumerism or what other people are wanting from you. It's yours alone. Healingintoabundance.com. Go and peruse my website too, and get to know me a little bit better. All right, my friends, it's been fabulous. It's been wonderful to be with you today. I'll talk to you soon, and I really hope to hear from you. Take care.